Home Thursdays, brought to you by the sponsors of momseveryday.com. Welcome to momseveryday.com. I'm your host, Jen Lennon, and today I'm joined by Levi Heidrich. He is the owner of Colorado Tree Farm and Nursery.
Thanks, Jen.
Levi, welcome.
Thank you.
And Levi, tell us just briefly a little bit about your tree farm.
We are a family-owned and operated business. We've been in business since 1977, and we love the Colorado Springs community and do a lot of our business here in Colorado Springs and surrounding areas.
And actually, knowing how community-based you were, you all actually did something quite special for the wildfire that people might have heard about a few weeks ago. Can you just tell us?
Yeah,
briefly?
we were able to raise over $4,000 that we've decided to donate to the Colorado Springs Fire Department. We donated 10% of our gross sales to that cause and just had a great turnout last week with customers and just a lot of support for the community.
Wonderful. So as we rebuild, you're helping the fire department too.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Levi. And now today, last time you talked to us about dirt, and I love your mind, Levi, because you know so much about this stuff. Today, going along with dirt, we're going to talk about water. So what do we need to know about water?
Well, there's a lot of information here, Jen. The most important is that we need to properly water newly planted trees and shrubs, and there's a lot of misinformation out there on how to do this.
Okay.
The main trick is to understand how plants work. They've got to have a certain percentage of oxygen and a certain percentage of water.
All right.
And they can't have both at the same time. They're kind of like people in the respect that if you keep them too wet, they drown, and if you don't give them enough water, they desiccate. So the main thing is to check the soil and to see what you've got to work with, see how wet it is. If a plant starts to look sick or droopy, it could be too dry, it could be too wet.
So the symptom looks the same on the plant?
It does, so that you've got to check the soil and see what's going on.
And that's what we're looking at here. So you just simply grab it in your hand, and what are you looking for, Levi?
If it sticks together like the photo on the left, that's got enough moisture, it's okay. If it's dry and crumbly, it's time to water.
Okay.
If it's muddy and smells almost rotting, that's a bad thing. That's the roots and the tissues actually starting to rot, and that's going to kill the tree faster than underwatering actually.
Okay, and this could be different for various parts of your yard?
It can,
plants?
because our soils change so quickly in Colorado. You might have one plant in sand, one plant in clay. You might get runoff from your irrigation system that causes an area to be wetter longer. So again, the most important thing is to check.
Okay, so it sounds like a lot of effort, but you really kind of need to do an analysis before you start watering because it's going to save you in the long run then?
Exactly. You'll save water, you'll have healthier plants. Also, you want to make sure when you water, overwatering is not caused by necessarily the quantity, but the frequency.
Okay, so elaborate on that a little bit.
Like when you water a newly planted bald and burlap tree, it's best to do a long, slow drip with a hose for about 3 hours, but then don't water it again until it's dried out. If you do 10 or 15 minutes every day or twice a day waterings like on a drip system, it's not going to let the soil dry out, and there's a chance, especially in clay soil, you might drown your plants.
So we have to be careful with timer systems then?
Exactly. Drip systems are in theory a great way to water. The problem is they treat everything the same. The only way to compensate is by flow rates. And again, that's not necessarily the problem, it's the frequency. So you want to make sure you've got enough zones to cover like trees, shrubs, evergreen trees, deciduous trees. But then even there, you've got to look at each scenario and say, okay, why is this plant struggling? Why is this plant thriving? What's the difference? And most likely it's going to be based on your soil type and the kind of moisture that it's getting.
So really you have to treat them almost like individual people. You said they're living things, so they are different.
When you have plants and new trees, it's kind of like having new children for a while. You want to take care of them and want to check them.
Okay, and if we have questions, certainly call you guys, right?
Oh, anytime. Call, email, stop by, Facebook us, send pictures. Just be ready to answer questions so we can try to help you figure out what's going on.
And ultimately, if you do it right to begin with, you do save money down the road.
You do, yeah. Properly establishing trees with proper watering is much more efficient than just setting a timer and letting it run. Also, when we have drought and we have water restrictions like we may have, your trees are going to tolerate, and your sod and your shrubs and your perennials are going to tolerate these conditions a lot better if they've been established properly.
Levi, I always learn so much from you. Thank you so much.
No problem.
And for more information about Heidrich Colorado Tree Farm Nursery, you can go to our website, momseveryday.com. Thank you for joining me today and every day. I'm your host, Jen Lennon, for momseveryday.com. Moms Every Day, weekdays at 9:25 a.m. and 5:55 p.m. is brought to you by the sponsors of momseveryday.com.